Hello, it is the 7th of June 2026. My name is Gabrielle de la Puente, and for this episode of the White Pew podcast, I am going to read my review of Crit Club. If you want the written version of this, go to thewhitepube.com, otherwise stick around. And two things just before I get reading. There was a gap in our podcasts for the purely podcast listener audience. That's because I launched a new podcast 2 weeks ago, and it's called Art Dates. In it, I'm going to be visiting exhibitions with people I think are interesting. I recorded the pilot episode with Serena, who you hear on the other Sundays when I'm not chatting. So Art Dates, go and listen to that. I hope you enjoy it. I can't remember what the other thing I was going to say is. Maybe it's just that I've got a cold, so I'm going to try not to cough. I'm recording this on my phone so that I can pause and delete the coughs. Yeah, okay, let's go. It's Saturday night, and I'm sat in a bright sports hall in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, watching two people fence. They're going at it down an aisle of chairs set out like a catwalk. I don't know anything about fencing. I didn't know they were allowed to jump, but at one point, the white suit on my left flies up and brings the sword down, and the moment seems to last forever. Like there are wires I can't see. I like it. I like that I have walked into a medieval fight. When everyone has finally taken their seat, the fencing stops, the boys take their helmets off to bow, and the person next to me gasps at the amount of sweat dripping down their faces. Wet, plastered hair and heavy breathing. I didn't know it took that much out of the body, but I like fencing even more now that I know the raging bodies inside those beekeeper suits still manage to be so precise. We're gathered in the sports hall for an event called Crit Club. A table has been placed where the fencers have just been, and four critics sit down, two either side. The idea is that each team must argue a topic set by the organizer, worded to be kind of unanswerable. After a stint, the critics physically switch sides on the table and argue the opposite point. There's an audience vote before things get going and a second vote at the end to see if witnessing the debate has changed the audience's mind at all. Tonight's topic: should art always look forward, never back? Its unfair counter-argument: should art always look backwards, never forward? And they're off, wearing football-style shirts, the whole audience leaning in, and I am ready to think things and examine myself and play the game along with them. But in the end, I'm struck more than anything by how boring it is. It's nothing like sport. It's barely a debate, and I miss the drama I saw when I first came into the room. Crit Club ends up being four people talking in non sequiturs, brief positions pulled from the notes they've each brought along with them. But the critics speak without responding to each other much, so it's not quite a conversation. More like scrolling a Twitter like, where each idea comes with a character limit, or hearing the opening lines of different essays in succession. No one is waiting for a gap to score. No one is climbing the basketball hoop to attack from high. It's like if the two fencers had stood either end of the hall and just done some poses. It begins to feel even more pointless when we reach the halfway point and the critics switch sides and begin to contradict themselves or invert their points from the first half to make parallel arguments. I think I would rather have spent an hour watching a panel talk, because at least I'd be hearing from people who really believe in what they're saying. Tonight becomes less a debate and more the performance of a debate, which should probably make it more interesting, but it just feels genuinely pointless. A thin, fake feeling over everything. an hour of time that didn't really happen. And when I speak to other audience members afterwards, everyone seems pissed off that they hadn't just been resting at home after a long day at Ljubljana Art Weekend. One artist brought up Jubilee, the YouTube channel that pits different sides against one another for our modern viewing pleasure. One journalist versus 20 Trump supporters, one atheist versus 25 Christians. She told me that Jubilee sell merchandise with the word empathy on it. I know the channel, but I've never made it through a full video because there's something about the culture of capitalizing on division that grosses me out. This brings me to the organizer, Gem A, who runs meme account Freeze Magazine, when it's spelled Freeze magazine. We were on a panel together years ago talking about how memes can mean different things in terms of humor and politics across the world. I told him that I wouldn't use a Wojak in my profile picture like he does on Freeze magazine because for me it's been contaminated by the far right and I wouldn't want to attract the wrong audience. He was of the position that this stuff is there to be studied, mentioned meme scholars, and said it should all remain part of an open conversation. I said again that, yeah, fine, but I still wouldn't put it as my profile picture. I just went to check his account and I am still blocked to this day, so I don't know how open that conversation really is. I mentioned this because Crit Club feels like a natural product of liberalism, of fence sitting. It suits someone who enjoys putting two hands in the air and theatrically shrugging because, God, it's so much easier to ask questions than it is to commit to a single answer. Devil's advocate as praxis, that slipperiness. Let's all do a thought experiment. No, really, please all come to my thought experiment. This thing kept happening where people left the event because the acoustics in the room were so bad. But there was a sad irony in that because with the unanswerable questions and flip-flopping critics, nothing was really being said anyway. Crit Club had no stakes, and I left feeling weirdly bad for the critics. I don't know. I think the job of a critic is to seek resolution or something close to one. I do not think that the job of a critic is to be the actor in a liberal performance, doing mental gymnastics in a literal sports hall. And it's like, I don't need to watch liberal art. If I bother thinking about it for even a second, I can play the whole thing out in my head. I would much rather have watched Gem A attempt to answer the question himself, but it's easier to invite critics to debate this stuff than produce criticism yourself. I said earlier on that I was struck by how boring Crit Club was, but it's not that I need debate to be packaged and made into merch and quick to be quick and bright and entertaining. I don't know enough about fencing to know when someone is winning, so winning isn't the point either. It's just that when the two lads took their helmets off, it was obvious that their effort was real. Okay. Thank you for listening to this text. If you have, sorry, I'm just moving some tabs around. If you've made it to the end, please leave a fencing emoji on our Instagram because there is a fencing emoji. It's this like little cute guy. Yeah, leave a fencing emoji so that I know you are here. Just as a side note, the critics in the performance were Manka G. Renko, Alenka Perman, Stephanie Bailey, and Andrei Shkufza. And it was moderated by Kate Brown. Don't forget the Art Dates podcast. Don't forget our book, Poor Artists. I think our second book is about to be announced, but I'm not really sure. But that's exciting. And I'll see you on the next episode of the podcast. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.